and welcome to the CITES event co-organized by the European Union, the UN Office on Drugs and Organized Crime, and WCS, the Wildlife Conservation Society. Thank you all for joining us. There are many threats to species, but with increasing threats from climate change, species are becoming even more vulnerable to trafficking. So we're going to hear today about some case studies and some information on disrupting wildlife trafficking. The European Union, we all appreciate, is supporting several critical and important large-scale regional on-the-ground initiatives in Africa, Asia, and Latin America to tackle wildlife trafficking by leveraging civil society partnerships and increasing the effectiveness of local community and governmental action. We're going to hear about all of these. There's a lot that we can do here at the CITES level, but what needs to be done is on the ground with communities locally. We're going to hear about a lot of that, and with appreciation, of course, for the support from the EU. So we're going to be hearing from distinguished guests from Mozambique, the European Union, Lao PDR, for some welcoming remarks, then a short video of the Nyasa Special Reserve in Mozambique, remind us all of what we're trying to say, and finally a discussion with panelists from Bolivia, Ecuador, and WCS from Latin America, China, and from UNODC, and there will be time for you in the audience to ask questions. So you don't need to hear from me anymore. It's my great pleasure to introduce our first distinguished speaker, Honorable Fernando Bemane de Sousa, the Vice Minister of Land and Environment of Mozambique. And thank you very much, sir.
Good afternoon.
Vou falar português.
I will do my introduction in Portuguese.
O meu inglês é muito pobre.
My English is very poor.
Tendo em conta que são matérias muito importantes para nós todos, então é preciso falar mesmo na minha língua.
Taking into account that we are dealing with a very sensitive issue, so it's important for us to address the audience in our own official language.
Primeiro, quero saudar a vossa presença neste encontro tão importante.
First of all, I would like to thank you all for coming to attend this event.
E é privilégio se encontrar aqui na COP19 e aqui na sala discutirmos a vida selvagem. Os animais que estão lá sozinhos e nós estamos aqui a debater sobre a vida deles, sem eles aqui. É privilégio.
It's an honor, it's a privilege for me to come to this COP and meet with distinguished different actors that are working towards protection of wildlife conservation. And also it's important to highlight that we are having this discussion on how to conserve biodiversity very far away from the original site in which we have such kind of resources.
Provavelmente, se estivesse aqui representado, teríamos também ouvir a opinião deles.
Probably, if we could have the presence of the primary actors we have left in their respective sites, we will have also the chance to hear from them.
Moçambique possui cerca de 25% do seu território declarado como área protegida, abrangendo áreas de grande importância ecológica para a população do país.
Mozambique have at about 25% of its territory declared as protected areas, and of which covers important ecological and socio-economic areas which are very important to its population.
Este panorama diversificado do capital natural traz desafios enormes e exige soluções criativas para a proteção da vida selvagem, de modo a contrariar a caça furtiva e o comércio ilegal.
The diversified natural landscape brings brings enormous challenges, which requires also innovative solutions to protect wildlife in order to counter illegal wildlife trade.
Para inverter o cenário da caça furtiva e promover uma gestão sustentável dos recursos naturais do país e, em particular, a Reserva Especial do Niassa, o governo de Moçambique adotou a cogestão como uma ferramenta fundamental.
To change the scenario of illegal wildlife, the scenario of poaching, and promote the sustainable management of natural resources, particularly in Niassa Special Reserve, the government of Mozambique have adopted the co-management as an important tool to disrupt illegal wildlife trade.
É neste contexto que, juntamente com o WC e o engajamento das comunidades locais, que a Reserva Especial do Niassa reduziu drasticamente os crimes contra a vida selvagem, contendo a caça furtiva de espécies emblemáticas como o elefante.
It is within this context and together with WCS and also together with the communities, the Niassa Special Reserve managed to drastically reduce the crimes against wildlife and manage also to counter illegal exploitation of emblematic species such as elephant.
E para demonstrar a importância das parcerias público-privadas e o envolvimento das comunidades na gestão dos recursos naturais, convido a todos os presentes a acompanharem atentamente a esta sessão de partilha de conhecimentos e boas práticas sobre governança local e organizações da sociedade civil no combate ao tráfico da vida selvagem.
And as demonstration, and to demonstrate the importance of the public and private partnership, and also the engagement of local communities in sustainable management of natural resources, we would like to invite you all to pay attention to this session, which aims at local governance and civil society organization as the key factors in disrupting wildlife trafficking.
Mais uma vez, pedimos a partilha de ideias, cada tem que dar a sua experiência e daqui vamos para nossos países, vamos implementar boas experiências, porque o animal precisa de ser protegido.
Once again, I would like to call you all to vigorously participate in this debate so that we can take the outcomes of this event and share with other actors once we go back to our countries.
Cada tem que falar como fosse hipopótamo, elefante, leopardo, crocodilo. Então, cada tem que falar a ver que está em crocodilo que deve ser protegido, está em elefante que deve ser protegido.
Let us have these discussions having the feeling that we are representing each of the species, either hippopotamus, elephant. We have to reincarnate this spirit of the wildlife.
E ele também sentir que estão sendo protegidos.
So that they can also feel that they are under protection.
E declaro aberta a sessão de debate, de partilha de informação. Muito obrigado pela atenção dispensada. Força e sucesso.
From my side, I would like to declare this the opening of this session, and from my side again, wish you good luck and fruitful discussions.
Thank you very much. Obrigado. That's all I can say in Portuguese. But thank you very much for those very inspiring opening remarks and reminding us that wildlife trafficking and poaching harms wildlife, but also harms people and their livelihoods and their sustainable development. It's now my pleasure to call to the podium Jorge Rodriguez Romero, the head of Unit Global Environmental Cooperation and Multilateralism and DG Environment of the European Commission. A very short title. Thank you, Jorge.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you very much, and thank you, Minister, also for your welcome address and for being here. And it's really an honor and a pleasure to be here opening this event with such distinguished participants and also such great partners as well. So UNODC and WCS. So I think it has been said already that wildlife trafficking is not only about species and about ecology, but it's also about people. And I think that's a very important aspect that I would like to highlight as well. It's not only about destruction of ecosystems that per se is already impacting all of us, but it's also about disrupting or depriving local communities from legal and sustainable forms of income. It threatens of public safety. It weakens really the rule of law, and undermines legitimate institutions, contributes and promotes corruption. So it's clear that wildlife trafficking is a very negative and destructive phenomenon that is extremely complex and is of global nature, increasingly global nature, and that's why it is so important to establish partnerships with partner countries, with organizations, international organizations that work on this. We have a long cooperation with the International Consortium to Combat Wildlife Crime, where UNODC is one of the partners, and we have a lot of cooperation with many organizations that are implementing projects that we are supporting to help across the globe the fight against wildlife trafficking. We are also trying to work on the basis of some priorities and efforts at home, because it's not that we are free from wildlife trafficking in Europe. Quite the contrary, this is something that we are very concerned about, and we have also a lot of problems of wildlife trafficking also as a destination country, demand-driven, but also as transit, and also from species that grow native from in Europe. So I think that this is a global phenomenon. We need to work together in partnership. And one of the guiding strategies that we have in the EU is the EU Action Plan against wildlife trafficking. Initially, it was adopted in 2016. It has guided us over the past few years in bringing together partners and stakeholders to work in Europe and elsewhere against wildlife trafficking. And we have just adopted a new version and updated. We have evaluated what we have done in the last few years, and we have adopted on the 9th of November, just before the COP, a revised EU Action Plan against wildlife trafficking. We maintain a lot of the general, several of the general priorities, such as addressing the drivers of wildlife trafficking, strengthening enforcement, fostering global cooperation. We have also added the strengthening or exploring new legal and policy tools in the EU in order to better enforce EU legislation, and this will certainly contribute globally to the fight against wildlife trafficking. I invite you to have a look at the revised EU Wildlife Action Plan. It is really a commitment, a further commitment, a reinforced commitment from the EU to continue the fight against wildlife trafficking together with our partners. So unfortunately, I cannot stay with you for this side event because I have to run to another meeting. I really regret that not being able to stay to hear from participants and experiences, but unfortunately I have to leave. I'm sure that Sue and Arnaud will let me know and we'll pass on information. I'm really happy to see you all here and look forward to feedback. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. I first would like to agree with the Vice Minister and the DG Environment of European Commission when he mentioned on the importance of wildlife trafficking. How do tackle that? So I would like to provide some information on behalf of Lao PDR perspective on how we tackling wildlife trafficking in the country. Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for organizers to inviting me for giving some remarks at this event organized by WCS, UNDC and European Commission. We know that wildlife trafficking continues to thrive globally, regionally, and in Asia, and of course, Laos is no exception on that. In recent years, we have increased our effort to combating this illegal activity and also to implement the CITES decision. Last year, through the EU-funded initiative implemented by WCS, intelligence-led action supported a multi-agency enforcement and lead to successful prosecution against illegal wildlife trade cases. This initiative called Partners Against Wildlife Crime aims to increase effectiveness of law enforcement responses to illegal wildlife trade through the capacity building and intelligence analysis support. It also enhances trans-boundary cooperation in tackling wildlife trafficking between Laos, PDR, and neighboring countries. Part of the Laos PDR effort is to improve law enforcement response and prosecution of forest and wildlife related case. It is the MOU between the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry and the Office of the Supreme People's Prosecutor to sign together in order to coordinate on the handling the forest and wildlife crime in the country. It is to implement and strengthening the strict compliance to the Lao law and regulation. We have also been working very hard on updating our legislation, especially the CITES decision that already signed and approved by the Prime Minister Office. And we are now working on the updating and revising the law, the wildlife and aquatic laws. We know that regional cooperation and trans-boundary cooperation are crucial. The Supreme Courts of Lao PDR and the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry therefore co-hosted early this year a regional conference to strengthening law enforcement, prosecution and conviction rates of the wildlife crime in the region, conveying the Supreme Courts from Cambodia, Laos, PDR and Vietnam together. We recognize the strong law enforcement requirements requires a strong cooperation action between agencies in Laos, PDR and neighboring countries. However, it is also requires strong cooperation across different donor sources and the implementing representatives, including all of you here. Consequently, as Lao PDR continues to improve multi-agency cooperation, I would like to urge the UK, the USA, the EU and WCS and other supporters to work together more closely in order to supporting law enforcement initiatives and also legislation dissemination to the local community. We would like to thank the European Union, WCS and other partners for their support in tackling wildlife trafficking in Lao PDR, and we look forward to continuing this successful partnership in the future. Thank you very much.
Now I'm going to invite the panelists to come up on the stage, but before they do, we're going to screen a short video about the Nyassa Special Reserve in Mozambique. The EU, and we appreciate, is currently supporting an initiative which is a partnership between WCS and ANAC, the National Administration of Conservation Areas of Mozambique, that aims to ensure a healthy, functioning, and resilient ecosystem in the Nyassa Special Reserve, the largest conservation area of Mozambique. So I will now, rather than tell you everything about Nyassa, we'll now screen the video that will tell you everything about Nyassa.
Neja pangu ya cheta ya showa jaji kuna maana kututana kwa kukubele kwa kuti kwa nako dujutulishie kuchijiji ni kumariri kuna kukamutishana kuna maana china chijiji ni kumariri kwe kukututana kuno kubele mpela gantungwe ndaweja kwela njenu mmoja kwete kuntuta nombe jula akwete nomba ntute sampano ya tujibishire akordu kuchijiji ni kumariri ya kuti tukwete kukamuchishana kele kakamuchishane kala kwa namakapo gako ya lyamisi lya kuti kwa namakapo likapo lyamisi lya unela kuti kwekula kajinjire kama kobili kuchijiji kokula tukwete limiti jija limite jia tujibishie limite ja kuti upande wine wewe mpaka ula kuno tuwijije conservation ko tumana tulanjije nyama akuno kuine kuno tulimeje wachi na chijiji sampano ndabija kwika ataliva la kumariri kuno nali nkwenda jenda nikokula ali nkuione chindu ye kwenda ichenene ni limite ja tukure hospitali nijija limite jia kukopo kama kobili mkati maje limite jia digira makobili ga kola deretu tuga pato bantu wa kuchijiji lya tatu ngosala kuti pambamba papa makobili ga kuinjira kila mwezi namboka jinjire kaga makobili gaga pambamba papa ikutokana ikazu janga wa inyama mpela gamula ndembo lizimba chizuvi litunu ile nyama ila kama watu irespectere ngai ulaga pachijiji wosempere makobili ga kuaga utesie uliga kukwela nambo nyama ila tukai respectere ditwa gaga ile nyama ya chawagata litunu limo au lisimba limo gigala makobili ga kutenda uliga kupunguka nenteri muje kushikola chibana betu wakati kuikukwela izame ndabija kuba ni izame makobili ga kutenda uliga kuaga kuizira nambo tande wanga ulaga inyama yayi wejijibele ko mungo kwejetu kuna maana banku jetu jelejo inyama yayi ndavi jitukulaga inyama yayi kuna maana otuko halibu makobili getu kubanku sampano chine chakwe papopo kamera ndaweje tukutega weni kuzungulaga wewe liye kwenda kuiba kamera zanga tukwimanyira kuti ndaweje tukuiba kamera azazi makobili getu tukuhalibu tukukoya bana chembulu papopo makobili ga tukupungula tukupata panandi niine akunga tukwimanyira kuti ndaweje tukuyasie kamera azazi kuna maana parte ja conservation ujo tukusaka kujiulaga makobili gaga naga kuinjira pa kijiji papa makobili gaga kwamba kuinjira yoyo iga makobili gaga kama ga kuinjira hapa ga kuinjira tande wa chichi wa conservation kuna maana wegoza inyama nyama ila ndayo tukuigoza ichenene makobili gaga kutenda uli kakuwaga jinjire pa kijiji.
Nena masengo jaji blokuji kubanganya masengo ni masengo gangu bali gapa pa chilumba pa achilumba shashi chili cha kwapo chila bantu yani maturista akuma ilambo ya pasa kweka ku visitari amumu aja reserve na jiblokuji tema ka kweka la shale ndo wala bas nitokuwa kwa peje tamwitinji kuilole nyama tukenda yo fulani wamuni tukola sungu baba ila tutalichire ni nyama ila ejinji yabereri nkusoferere kuiputa puta majambasi gaga china wiwa sano ila ni jimi tande wajibu kuji
nengu ilani kwa Musa Yasini ngusoma ku chikola cha Kumbamba tulia kunotu nikusoma site maklase tukujishukuru mariri jikutu kamuchirano ketu kutenda kusoma kutioka ni kuliaga basi tukuja kumuzi tuninkusengwa. Kwa hiyo tukutenda asante mariri juangali sonia kuvechita ya ijinji.
It's very valuable after we have a decade of campaigns and advocacy at a higher level and more broad kind of methodology. We should go involved to develop some more in-depth understanding and develop some tools that we can actually apply maybe across different species and different purpose of the trade. So I think that's the part of the initiative in our way.
We as WCS try to promote this type of efforts along all this trade change from the source, transit, and final destination. And in addition, with civil society, we try also to improve different actions to reduce the demand. At the beginning, when we start the project, we try to develop different messages to raise awareness, to try to reduce, the pet trade and also different actions related to illegal activities. But after 4 years implementation of our project, we now are trying to promote the demand reduction path based on behavior change, as the Lishu just explained her example in Asia. For example, for our region, we use the example from this region, from Asia, to try to improve this lesson learned and try to promote these new strategies in collaboration with different civil society and also trying to involve the government on these actions. Yes, as I mentioned at the beginning of my intervention, if I have to highlight something, I would like to mention about the collaboration between multi-actors, multi-countries, and also to increase the collaboration between different international levels.
We produced a report in 2014 that said the shark fin consumption had gone down more than 50%. However, the international trade does not reflect this. So what's your perspective on that? Do you believe it's true, or was it reflective of the entire consumption, or perhaps stockpiling of shark fin?
come to any conclusion. And so I don't want to do a wild guess, but I will call for more study on this size, like update the previous knowledge about it. To my kind of feeling as a normal person within China, I feel that at least for the younger generation and the consumption of short films in weddings and big banquets has significantly reduced, and we can already hear a lot of people recognize that it is not appropriate to consume short film. But I think that's just one sample, one individual sample. Probably not enough to tell the whole story, so I really will call for more data and maybe a renewed study on it.
But maybe a different way of thinking about things that you yourself have been doing, and we'd be happy to discuss that with you. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone, and please join us for the reception and some networking. Thank you.